4 of the chronic pain solution, where we are taking a look at the question, how do I fix it? It being all of the suffering from this stupid chronic pain. So today is going to be a rapid fire bunch of different ways, tools, if you will, that we can begin to apply, if we haven't already, to help decrease our suffering and our isolation and our close-innedness and all of the things that make pain just awful. So thank you for those of you that are joining from work. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you. And Pam, I'm sorry you're tired, but I am glad that you are okay. All right, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. In the description of this live, you will find the link to the workbook if you haven't found your way to that yet. There are a couple quizzes, inventories. They are things used within the medical field to help people determine whether or not this nociplastic pain is part of your pain picture. So if you're wondering if that really applies to you, download that workbook, give it a look. It's totally free and, can't hurt, right? So those are things used in a clinical setting. You can search them on the internet and you will find, that they are not something I made up. They are indeed things used in the field, and they should give you a sense of whether or not coaching from me or anyone would be something that would be helpful for you. All right. Remember, ask your questions in the chat, send them to me in personal messages, send them to me in email. I don't dealer's choice on how you send your questions, but I will spend all of tomorrow answering questions. So the whole session tomorrow, don't think we're done today, because we're not. All of the questions that I haven't gotten to, I will have a sheet in front of me and I will just go through them. And we will spend as much time as we need to answer all of the questions that you guys have. If you would do me a favor and turn off your distractions if you are able. And remember, today is your last day to go through and do all of the homework so that you can be entered into the drawing for the scholarship for Moving Beyond Pain. That opens today. I will talk about it at the end of our session, but please know that Moving Beyond Pain is opening today. And just because you sign up now doesn't mean that if you get drawn later for the scholarship, you still get the scholarship. So signing up early gets you bonuses, but it doesn't harm you in any way from winning the scholarship. So just know that, because people have waited in years past, and I have a feeling we may fill up this year. So go back and do your homework, because I'm incredibly generous and I want to make sure that somebody wins the scholarship this year. So please go do your homework so that you've done all 4 and I can draw somebody's name tomorrow. I asked you to turn off your phones. Do the likey, commenty Facebook things so that Facebook pushes this video out so more people can see it. And as always, like and share, because, we just want to make the Facebook gods happy so that other people can get this information. Okay. So yesterday we talked about the nervous system and how it controls our entire body, all of our functions, and that includes pain. That's why your pain isn't made up. It's not psychogenic. It's not crazy. It's also just probably not tissue damage. We have learned that even if we do have things that doctors consider tissue damage, that they have a normal healing time frame, and none of those are 3 to 5 years, or 20 in my case. We learned that magic hands in manual therapy are not a thing, and so a lot of the time all of the dysfunctions and imbalances and tissue issues that our manual providers find are probably not all that reliable, but the things that they do can still make us feel really good. And feeling good is really important to decreasing chronic pain. But being afraid of scar tissue and trigger points and things like that is not really helpful in living a fruitful and full and active life. Those stories tend to keep us from being able to live well. And since, we know from research that they're not really accurate, we don't have to continue to hold on to them any longer. So we know that with nociplastic pain, our cups are full of a variety of different things. Everybody's cup is their own story, right? So your story is going to be different than my story, which is going to be different than Rebecca's story or Pam's or Chris's. So part of the key in the how do we fix it is we have to figure out what's in the cup. Okay. Now that could be you taking inventory of your own life. That may be you talking with somebody, because maybe you're a verbal processor like me and it helps to talk about it out loud. Maybe you are a rabid journaler, and so you're just going to journal everything down, and then you're going to look at it and you're magically, I mean magically, seriously, like you're just going to look at it and you're going to figure it out. You're going to know what's in your cup and you're going to know what you need to change. People do that all the time after these seminars. They do it all the time. So it's not that you can't. But if you're like, wow, Amy, that's totally overwhelming, well, that's when I come in. That's when you hire me and we get together and we do some coaching and we get it figured out. But we need to empty the cup. And after we get some of this stuff out of the cup, we need to build a bigger vessel so that all that stuff at the bottom, the arthritis, the degenerative disc, the pinchy nervy, doesn't scream as loudly. Because if you remember, I said the cup is also an illustration of the sciencey term of action potential, which is how much of something is needed before a signal goes off in our brain. And the action potential that we're looking at for our cup is how much is in here before we send the pain signal downstream to the place that hurts, right? So in nociplastic pain, the room for that signal is way too small, and that's why we're constantly experiencing pain. So people talk about fixing that as retraining the brain or recalibrating the nervous system or finding safety or calming the nervous system, getting out of fight or flight. These are all terms that are used to talk about the act of getting out of pain. I talk about getting your life back. I talk about finding who you are and calming your nervous system. And when I say nervous system, I mean you. We need to calm you, and we need you to feel safe. And that comes in a variety of ways. And that's why I choose to use those terms instead of retraining your brain, because to me that's just a little too simplistic and a little too scientific. I mean, we are doing that. That is happening. We're also retraining your tissue, and we're retraining your relationships with people around you. And there's a lot that goes into getting out of pain. And it's more than just retraining our brains. To me, that's just a little too simplistic. All right. So what I'm saying is I think we need to readdress our approach to pain, because most of us are fighting it. We're angry at it. We're treating it like an enemy, something that needs to be banished. Everybody's question is, how do I get rid of this pain? And I really think that we need to flip the script on that, and we need to be asking the question, how do I get back to the life that I want to be living? Because when we're focused on a more positive outcome, like getting my freaking life back, we tend to have more success with that than jabbing at the dark at this pain, right? We want to banish the pain like it's an evil wizard in our story. And the reality is we don't always have the formula to do that, but we always have the formula to do more of the things that we love and more of the things that make us happy. Are you guys ready for more of what makes you happy, more of what gives you life? If you are, just say ready in the comments if you are ready for things like that. I know I am. Okay. So because we know that there are things that you can do, that means we're going to stop listening to these doctors that say, well, there's nothing more I can do for you. Well, you know what? That may be true. There is nothing more that that doctor can do for you because they are at the end of their knowledge. And that's okay. But that doesn't mean all doctors or all coaches or all PTs are at that same knowledge level as the person that told you there's nothing more I can do for you. That's a reflection of their knowledge, their training, and their experience. That is not a reflection on where the field of pain science is, because the field of pain science says there's a lot more that we can do. So if you have been told by a professional, there's nothing more I can do for you, please understand that that's not about you. That's about them. That's about them and their knowledge. That's not about you and how complicated or broken you are. Because I am going to guess you're really not that complicated. I'm going to guess you've been in pain a long time. You've been let down by the system and you're exhausted. And all you want is a little bit of happy. Like you would be thrilled if you could just get a little bit of your life back. Am I right? Is that where we're at? I think that's where we're at. So, to get a little bit of the happy, to begin to calm the nervous system, we need to start to change some habits. We need to start to calm the nervous system and get away from this scary clown. Sorry, the animals are again tussling on my floor. So the very first thing that we are going to do to begin to create safety is we are going to do what I call happy bites. And I believe I stole that name from Sandy Hilton. Sandy Hilton was a PT that mentored me, pelvic floor PT that mentored me with her partner Sarah up in the Chicagoland area, and they are freaking amazing. And Sandy has since moved out of Chicago, and I miss being up at their clinic very much because I always learned things. But happy bites. Okay, if you're writing things down, you should probably do that. Rebecca, if you want to type this in the comments, that would be great. But happy bites are things that you can do for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, so things that you can do for 3 to 5 minutes, 5 to 7 times a day. Now, I don't care if you put reminders in your phone. I don't care if you have a Post-it note that you check things off on. You decide how you're going to remember to do these 5 to 7 times a day. But the prescription is 3 to 5 minutes, 5 to 7 times a day. And they have to be things that you and you alone can do to make yourself happy. So one of the things I get a lot is people with, like when I've got clients with young kids, they're like, oh, I love it when my son smiles. I love it when my daughter gives me hugs. I love it when somebody else does this thing. We cannot force other people to do things to make us happy. That is a recipe for making one miserable. So your happy bites have to be things that you and you alone can do. Okay, it's great if we get an extra happy bite during the day because our loved one does something that we enjoy. But like, let's say you have an anxious attachment style like me, right? And one of the things that makes you happy is chatting with your partner. And so you're going to send a text because that makes you happy. That's fine as long as the person doesn't have to respond. So I get, well, not anymore. I've been with my partner long enough that I get his patterns. But it used to make me very, very nervous when he wouldn't answer me in, like 30 minutes or so if I texted him, and then my anxiety would grow. And that is not a happy bite. If I am anxious that like he doesn't want to talk to me or he's ignoring me or like all the rest of the crap that I made up in my head, that's not a happy bite. That is an anxious bite. Beth Stryker, Rebecca, if you could tag her and tell her 1650. That's the time frame. But Beth mentioned glimmers yesterday, which are a lot like happy bites. Glimmers are things that make you happy, like a trigger. So like a trigger makes you sad, a glimmer makes you happy. So we want happy bites and glimmers. We want as many of them as we can get. And Sandra posted up a great one. She says, I love taking a few minutes to just listen to waterfalls on my phone. It's relaxing and it makes her happy. That's exactly what a happy bite is. Thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca is like the best assistant. She's my little boss coach. She's been with me since 2021, and I can't function without her. She's my extra brain. So everybody remember to say thank you to Rebecca because she's flippin' fantastic. And thank you. You know how I feel, but thank you because I'm going to cry right now. All right. So happy bites. You're going to write down as many as you can think of. And I will be honest with you, when I started doing this, like, I was actually asked the question by I was asked the question by my PT, you know, Amy, what do you do that makes you happy? And I was like, what? I don't, like, I went into an existential crisis when he asked me this during therapy. Now, he was not pain science informed. He was just being Tim, really. He was just being himself. But he did ask me this insanely profound question. What do I do for fun? What do I do for enjoyment? What do I do because it just makes me happy? And I went home and I thought about that because I am the consummate good girl. I am the excellent patient that wants to do exactly as I am told. And so I figured he was asking this question for a reason, which he wasn't. But there is a reason to ask it, and we're talking about it today. I thought on it for a week so that I could come back and give him an answer, and there was nothing. I was so far down the pain hole at that point, and I mean, we're talking 18 years. This was somewhere in the 18 to 20 year span. I had no answer. So if you're sitting behind your computer or your phone or wherever you're listening to me and you're thinking, Amy, I have no frigging idea what makes me happy, that is part of the problem. Now, I don't need you to have an existential crisis about it like I did, but it's probably worth investigating. So if you're staring at your piece of paper or your notes on your phone or wherever you like to keep important information and you're like, I don't friggin' know, that's a key that we've lost ourselves to the pain and the stress and the trauma, and we need to find ourselves again. We need to find ourselves again, because if we don't know who we are, is there really a reason to get out of pain? And I can't imagine that feels very safe. I know that, like, when Tim asked me, what does Amy do for fun? That was the very first time that I actually felt the panic of realizing I have no idea who I am anymore. I'm, somewhere between 36 and 38 years old at that point in time, and I had no fucking idea who I was. And that was terrifying. So I found that I like otter videos. I think river otters are some of the funniest little critters on the planet. I love water things. I like brown noise. There are all kinds of noises that you can listen to, and people will tell you a million different reasons why they work. I think that's irrelevant. If you like it, excellent. If you don't, excellent. Don't do it. Same thing with like the Tibetan sound bowls and things like that. We just want to calm the nervous system. We don't need to have an existential crisis about chakras and wavelengths and frequencies and all of that. But so I learned I like brown noise, but I don't like white noise. White noise makes me anxious. Brown noise makes my brain deliriously happy. Crazy, right? I learned I like my meditation jar. We've talked in this group before about how I am terrible at meditating. I hate it. I can't do it. And when I finally got to the point that it's not about me clearing my mind of every thought, it's focusing on one thought, that made meditating a lot easier. But I have a YouTube video and a blog post on how to make these calm down jars. They are originally created for toddlers, and they have a very short suspension time, but I looked around until I got a recipe for a longer suspension time for us adulty people. So when you have a pain spike, we've got our regular level of pain, right, that we like wander around with, and then sometimes we do something new or we do something more, and then we get that increase in pain. The minute you start to panic from that increase in pain is when you pull out something like this. Okay, we talked a little bit about the Scary Movie yesterday and how our bodies go into fight or flight just because of the things happening in the movie. It takes 20 minutes, which is how long this bottle holds its glitter for before it drops to the bottom. It takes 20 minutes to clear your body of all that extra cortisol and adrenaline and before things go back to normal, or what we would probably experience as like a crash, like that emotional crash. So there is excess noise in the background because Tink is digging a hole to China. Please hold. Tinkerbell, stop it. We're on Facebook Live here. Lay down. That was almost as fun as when Oliver was trying to get Miss Bianca out of the cage, or Bernard out of the cage. Thank you for letting me know that was happening, Tink. Okay. 20 minutes for the adrenaline and cortisol to clear your system, and then it feels like a crash, and that's okay. Like, that's just what happens. But often, if we start using a timer right at the beginning, we can work on breathing and calming and saying, encouraging things to ourselves to help the crash not be so bad. So, meditation timer, I use it for journaling. I use it for, putting myself in a timeout. My kids aren't little anymore. They're adults now. But, yeah, meditation jar. Give it a go on my YouTube channel. Okay, so we've got our happy bites. That's the first thing that we can do to help our pain. Number 2 is I find journaling is an excellent way to deal with a lot of things. I mentioned yesterday I wrote the book Uncovering You, available on Amazon. Just Google my name, Amy Eicher, E-I-C-H-E-R, and that will help. One of the reasons I think journaling, let me be specific about the type of journaling. Like, set a timer for 7 to 10 minutes and just free write. My journal that I wrote gives prompts, right? So it says, write about what you want your life to look like in the next year. And then you spend 7 to 10 minutes writing about that. And then when you're done, you close the book, you put it away, and then you come back a couple days later, you open the book up, and you read what you wrote. And it is often in the rereading that we start to notice patterns, and we find things that while we're in a calmer mindset, we can come back and look at and start to pick at. And when we find those things that we need to start to pick at, that is usually where we start to find the peace, where we start to find the piece, like P-E-A-C-E, not pieces of a puzzle. But we do find those too. And then we're able to start figuring out what it is that is making us feel so unsafe, right? Because we've usually got the component of like, these movements hurt, like, we know the things that cause physical hurt, but we don't usually know the things that contribute to that. So the journaling helps contribute to that. And let me give you a for instance, okay? So again, we're going to go back to Tim, back to my last PT. And I would come in, I had to drive to an adjacent town to see him. And so oftentimes I would talk to my mom on that car ride because it was finite and it kept the conversation like within a framework, so we couldn't keep talking forever, which my mom is gone now, so I kind of regret that, but I also needed it because she was a wildly anxious woman, and like the stress that I would feel when I talked to her. And I would walk in and like I would have no neck because my shoulders would be so tight and whatever. And I was entirely unaware of that. And I remember one day Tim was just like, so you talked to your mom again, huh? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he was like, yeah, your body is always infinitely tighter when you talk to your mom before you come in than other days. So I just know when you've talked to your mom based on the way that you look when you walk in. Sir, what? Well, he was right. My mom was an absolute threat. She was absolutely a threat to my nervous system, to my sense of calm, to my sense of well-being, and all of those things. And also a very nice lady. But I couldn't solve the problems that she had, and that caused me stress and anxiety, and quite honestly, trauma, because, as I mentioned yesterday, trauma is any situation that you feel ill-equipped to solve and can't get out of. So that's how most conversations with my mom felt. And my body responded. That had nothing to do with the injury, right? Because we're 18 years into the SI thing, right? But it had nothing to do with the pain that he was treating me for, yet it had a lot to do with the pain that he was treating me for. So solving the issue with my mom dropped the tension in my body, which relaxed my muscles, which gave me more room in my cup, right? Like, you see how this is working? So it's not directly related, it's indirect, but it's important. And he pointed that out, and when he pointed that out, I started working on that. So that's why journaling or conversations with others that have insight into you can be very, very important in putting together the pieces of your puzzle. All right, another way to do that I mentioned is talking with a trusted friend, talking with a professional. Professional counselors can be very, very helpful. We have to remember that everybody has their thing in medicine. So not every counselor is created equal. Not all of them are going to use the same tools. And much like finding a doctor or a physical therapist, it's finding somebody that you feel safe with and that you think the tools that they are using or the type of psychological tools that they are using makes sense to you. Okay? So I always think counseling is very important. We have a lot of grieving that we need to do as people that have experienced chronic pain. We've lost a lot, and we need help processing that. And even if that's the only reason that you go to counseling, I think that that is an excellent reason to do such. Okay. We talked about trauma. We need to know we're safe. Now, for everybody, that's different. For some people, just hearing, the things that I've mentioned this week, that's enough. They feel safe and they feel like they have an answer, and that's great. Other people need more resources. They're all over my blog, www.restoringvenus.com. There are a million resources there, and if you are like, okay, that's great, Aim, but I would like to hear somebody smarter than you say that, no problem. There's a million people that are smarter than me that have stuff all over the internet, and if you want help finding that, I can absolutely help you find that. So get evidence, get fact, know why you can believe that you are safe and not causing yourself more damage when you try to move. And part of that means getting rid of these unhelpful narratives that are leading us to feel super fragile. Okay? We're going to actively tell ourselves we're safe. And I get if this sounds crazy. But we need to make the unconscious part of our brain aware of some things, because the reason that we're in pain is not because we're thinking about it too much. And this is all happening in the unconscious part of our brain. We're not in charge of this. So I want you to be clear that it is not your fault that you are feeling like that. It's just the way brains work. It's trying to protect us. All right. So we're going to say out loud or in our head, I'm safe. And if we're not safe, we're going to get to a safe place, right? So like if you are in a dangerous situation, you are going to call and get help, or you are going to get to a safe situation before you tell yourself you're safe, because we do not lie to ourselves. Lying to ourselves is a danger because the brain always knows. It always knows when you're lying, and it will respond accordingly. So please don't lie. Toxic positivity is awful. I do not want you to be like, hey, my life is great and everything's fine and I've lost 3 limbs. No, no. Life can be good if you've lost 3 limbs, but I'm going to guess currently right now, no, it's not. If you can't sit to go out with your friends, and that's the thing that you want to do most in this world, please don't tell yourself that everything's okay. What I mean is, okay, so let's use my shoulder for example. There are certain movements that I can do right now that cause a lot of pain, like a lot of pain that drops me to my knees because I fell at Thanksgiving, and things are still healing over here, I guess. So when that happens, I let myself have whatever response I'm having, whether I cry or, sit down. I mean, I get really hot and flushed because the pain is pretty intense. And then I remind myself, I'm okay. I look at my arm. It's still attached to my body. I remind myself that I went to the doctor and I had x-rays taken and it's not broken. And then I remind myself that I went and double checked the x-rays with an orthopedic surgeon, and he also said it is most likely just some muscle and tendon strain. All right. So we talked about that day too. That's going to take 8 to 12 weeks to heal. So I'm in, I'm at like 6 weeks now. I still got 2 to 4 weeks left. But I look, my arm's still there. I can touch it. It's okay. I'm safe. This is pain. What do I need to do? And usually it's stop whatever activity I was doing, because I'm, still trying to use the arm as normally as I possibly can to keep movement in there, because the joint needs movement. We need movement to keep things happy. So I'm going to do that. And then if I still can't quite get over the hump, like telling myself and looking and reassuring and patting and all of that isn't enough, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a body scan. Body scans are something that I think are really important to learn, and they help us kind of check in with ourselves. Again, I usually close my eyes because it helps me to focus, but I close my eyes and I start at the top of my head, and I like, how's my head feeling? How are my eyes feeling? How is my jaw feeling? How is my neck, shoulders, chest, tummy? Am I gripping? Because I tend to hold tension in my tummy. Like I try to sit up straighter. I don't know why I do that. I just know that it is something I do when I am feeling insecure. So, okay, well, is my tummy tight? Can I soften it? Where am I breathing? Am I doing a lot of chest breathing because I'm scared and I'm in pain? Or am I breathing all the way down into my belly, which is a much calmer breath and is going to help reduce my pain? Am I gripping my butt, my thighs? How do they feel? Is there pain? Is there tightness? What about my calves, my toes? My partner holds so much tension in his toes. He cracks me up. Like, we sit opposite ends on the couch, and like his toes just pull all the way back when he's super stressed out. And I flick them, and he's like, "Why are you doing that?" And I'm like, "Relax." And he cracks me up. But we can hold tension in a lot of really weird places, right? So for most of us, we hold it in our shoulders, we hold it in our pelvic floor, right? Is my pelvic floor like up to my eyeballs? Can I relax that? That's a skill we ladies need, because if our pelvic floors are too tight, we tend to dribble urine or have trouble like getting our flow started when we go to the bathroom. Freebies from somebody interested in pelvic floor. And Rebecca says, closing your eyes while doing your scans shuts off other sensory information from interrupting what you're doing. And she is 1,000% right. So once we scan head to toe, then we can focus on any owie spots and try to get them to relax. Or if we're having trouble taking our attention away from a part that's really hurting, like go someplace where it's not hurting. My left hand feels fantastic today. So instead of focusing on my right shoulder, I'm going to focus all of my attention on my left hand and all of like the movements that I can make with it and how easy it is and that it doesn't hurt. And Beth says, I'm at PT with the volume up. That's hysterical. I love it. Thanks, Beth. I mentioned you at minute 16 with your glimmers. So thank you for throwing that into the group the other day. But so we can use a body scan to redirect our attention to something that's not painful and really focus in on how that feels. And then as we gain skill, I do know people that are able to transfer that feeling from a non-hurting body part and kind of spread it over to body parts that hurt so that they hurt less. But like anything, it is a skill that must be learned, okay? We need a plan to deal with our flares. Flares are going to happen. I like to see them as a way that we are trying to live more in our life, and we're usually just a little bit too energetic about it, or we take off too big of a bite, and so what ends up happening is we end up doing more than our body is physically capable of, or we're doing it at a time where there's too much on us mentally, emotionally, and or physically. Or maybe you are a boom buster where when you're feeling good, you do all of the things that you haven't done while you were feeling bad. And then at the end of that, you end up in bed again. Do me a favor, type boom bust if you are familiar with this lovely cycle of doing all the things and then ending up in bed. And then getting frustrated because you've been in bed. And then on your first good day, you do all the things. And then you end up back in bed or in scads of pain. And so this is where, how do I get better? The answer is pacing. We learn pacing. Pacing is a skill, and it takes time to learn and figure out, okay? Because as long as we continue to live in boom bust cycles, we're basically training our body that like crisis and overdoing is great. It's like, it's the thing that we should do, and we're going to keep doing it, and it's a danger. It's because of all, and it's a danger because of what we're saying to ourselves while we're not doing the things. Think about the conversation that you have with yourself over all of those things that you do when you're feeling good. Are they positive things? Like, are you telling yourself positive things about all of the things that you're not getting done, or is the word should part of that conversation with yourself? If should is part of that conversation with yourself, I want to see it in the comments, because yesterday I said we're going to stop shooting all over ourselves because that is a danger. We are creating a danger. We are creating fight or flight because we're not living up to our own expectations or the things that we think we should do. And so that is creating stress. So we have to figure out how to stop doing that and then do things differently so that we are taking away the emotional stress as well as the physical stress of trying to do all the things in one shot. I'm telling you, what, have you guys ever heard this from a PT? MD? Pain management? You know. Just saying, this is practical life crap that we need to figure out if we want to enjoy our lives more. And when we pace, we also get to put into our pacing plan things that bring us joy. We're going to put those in first, and then we're going to put in the rest of the things. Well, okay, we really need to put in the things that make us money first because, hi, capitalism, and we need money to survive. So we have to do those things. But then we put in the things that we enjoy and the people we enjoy, and then we figure out the rest of the tasks that our life needs. So pacing and a flare plan. having a plan before the flare happens so that you're in your right mind when you need to deal with it. And you put it on your phone or you stick it in a cabinet. You create a flare plan so that you're ready when they come, because they're going to come because you tried to do more, and you tried to do more because you were feeling better, and all of that is normal. All of that is 1,000% normal. It's a good thing that you wanted to try to do more. We just need to mitigate it and then learn from it so we don't keep making the same mistake over and over again. And then we adjust. We adjust because we want to live, right? All right. We remember that we have a body and that we need things. Basically, a newborn baby is a raw nervous system. Okay, so anything we can do to a crying, fussing baby to calm it down, we can do to an adult in pain. What do I mean when I say that? Well, are you tired or hurt or hungry? Sleep, eat, take care of yourself, right? Please don't vacuum right now. I said staying hydrated is important. Eating protein is important. Making sure that you are taking care of your body is important. While I wish we could, we cannot live on carbs and sugar alone. We do indeed need protein. So for me, I have to, like when I'm in a bad place, I have to like remember or be told to eat, and generally to eat protein. So my son and my partner are both excellent at reminding me to eat and drink. I was telling somebody this recently, but I had a consult where I was the client getting information from an IBS coach. And she said the most profound thing in the world to me, and she said, Amy, if we can't sleep and we can't poop, the rest of it doesn't matter. And so those are the things that we need to solve first. So if you're not getting 6 hours of sleep a night, and or you're having trouble with your bowels and bladder, we need to solve those things before the rest of the stuff makes sense. And I know a lot of you asked sleep questions, so we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but we need to get sleep. What are other things that you can do to a baby? We can bounce and jiggle them, right? Like my daughter had a movement problem, constantly had to be bouncing her, which completely makes sense now because she's so sensory seeking that I'm like, yep, that all kind of tracks, right? That tracks. So bouncing and jiggling, that would be like joint mobs that your PT does. That's jiggling joints. Vibrators, car rides, things that are soothing, little bouncy straps under your chairs so you can bounce your feet. All of these things are things that we can do to decrease pain and bring other sensation to the nervous system. We can rock. I'm in a rocking chair, Beth says. So am I. My office chair rocks. And it also kind of bounces, so it's a little bit of rocking and a little bit of bouncing. But hammocks, those chairs that hang in the, you can hang from the ceiling, bouncing, like those big exercise balls that you can sit on, you can kind of bounce on those, right? Rocking and bouncing help to calm the nervous system. That's why we do it to babies. Compression, socks, shorts, shirt, slimming tools, tape, hugs. Who does? I mean, I may have some people that don't like touching. I am a huge fan of hugs. Hug me, hug me, hug me if I am starting to spin out. A hug, like a long extended hug that I break. And this is an agreement that I have with my partner is sometimes I will say, I just need compression. Can you please just hold me till I say it's okay to let go? And it's usually like no more than 3 minutes. And he used to think I was crazy, but now he gets it. Compression would also be like one of those weighted blankets. I have one coming in the mail that's Haunted Mansion designed, and it should be here soon. And I will show it to you when it gets here, but I'm very excited for the weighted blanket. Other things that are compression would be like foam rollers, if you really like foam rolling on your bits, or those green trigger point sticks, or really like sitting on a tennis ball if you've got like some sciatic pain and you've been told to do that. All of that is compression. It does not have to be expensive. You can go get a pair of Spanx, and if you've got upper body pain, lower body pain, chronic fatigue, compression is actually helpful for chronic fatigue, believe it or not, as well as for many of my POTSIs, that postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, if I've got anybody in here experiencing that. Abdominal compression is actually really good for that in some people. Sorry, it's not universal, but in some people. So you can try some of that shapewear and see if it works. Padding. I don't know about you guys. I worked at a daycare in the infant room, and we used to pat the babies to sleep on their backs. And I did not have kids yet, and I remember thinking this is like magic. So padding / touch, all of the massage things. The scraping, the cupping, the dry brushing, the lotion, the big long strokes, the short little strokes, the kneading strokes, whatever makes you happy and makes you feel good is a good type of intervention. If you do not like the way your massage therapist is touching you, chances are that is making you more tense, not less tense. So ask them to change what they are doing. And if they tell you, but I have to do this because your fascia, your trigger points, your this, your that, they're hanging on to an explanation that's not very helpful, and they're unwilling to change what they're doing to make you feel better, I would say that's probably not somebody that I would continue to see. Because we don't want things that make us feel unsafe. We don't want things that cause more pain. Because why? Because we don't need that. And contrary to a lot of physical therapists' belief, we do not need to be in more pain to get rid of pain. When we begin to exercise, there is going to be discomfort, but we do not need to hurt more to get better. That is a ridiculous statement that has been disproven. Yeah, so let's just not. Sounds, we play the sound machine for the baby. Whatever sounds make you happy. Check through the colors of noises. See if there's a couple colors that you like. I would be curious which ones like make you feel better. The Tibetan bowls, various frequencies, rain, ocean, wind, crickets, birds, whatever sounds make you happy, okay? What feels good. Like, you start listening to these things and you go, oh, you kind of sit back. Your body relaxes. Your body will tell you what it needs and wants. Smells are another thing that can be relaxing to us. Like, think of all the babies, like everything baby comes in lavender, or at least it used to. I don't know if it still does. But lavender is a smell that calms a lot of people. Vanilla. Whatever. I've got Scentsy stuff all over my house. I love the little wax melty cubey things. I put in smells that make me happy. My house smells nice. It feels safe. I like it, right? So we've got touch, we've got compression, we've got rocking, we've got bouncing, we've got sounds, we've got smells. And then I think the most important question of all is, am I overstimulated? Is there too much sound? Are there too many things happening? Is it just too much? Do I need to turn off the lights? Do I need to turn off the TV? Do I need to stop having a conversation while the TV is on and I'm scrolling on my phone? I have learned with long COVID that like that situation, scrolling on my phone, having a conversation and the TV on in the background, that is an enormous amount of energy that the body requires to be able to like filter things out and do the appropriate things at the appropriate time. So it is a very, very good chance that you are simply overstimulated and need to remove yourself or remove certain elements from the situation that you're in, and that will be enough to begin to lower your pain. It's not a crazy question to ask, and I would encourage you all to start asking it more. All right. More ways that we can calm a nervous system if those were not enough. We're going to move our bodies. I don't care if it's exercise because you love the routine, or it's, you're like, but Amy, I can't even get out of bed. Great. Can you slide your feet up and down? Can you finger dance? Can you move your shoulders? Can you roll from side to side? Can you flex and point your feet? We're going to start wherever you're at, but we need to begin moving, and we need to begin moving in ways that feel safe. Call it exercise, call it movement, call it living. Wherever you're at, I can meet you there because I've been there myself. So we've got everything from bed dancing to chair yoga to geriatric exercises. Now, I know we are not geriatrics in this group, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong. I mean, geriatrics is just age, right? But you can do a chair workout. You can do a workout designed for somebody in their 80s, even if you're in your 20s. And oftentimes it's a good, safe place to begin exploring exercise. I was in a place where we did chair yoga as part of mental health, and I thought that was so fascinating. The person leading it said, I don't know what your skill levels are or what your balance levels are like or what medications you're on, so we're just going to do some chair yoga. It was fascinating. I was like, I didn't even think you could do this. YouTube is your friend. YouTube is your friend. There are a million different people doing all of these things, which is why I don't do exercise videos. There's people that have done it way better than me. Look for something in a chair. Look for something geriatric. Look for something simple. Look for a 5-minute workout. Find a 10-minute workout and do 2 of the exercises. Nobody said you had to do the whole thing, but start moving in ways that are fun to you. Now, if you are not able to do what normal people would do on the daily, right? So it's difficult to wake up, shower, and get dressed. That is a very common sequence of events that is often very, very difficult for people in pain. Break it up. Wash your body one day, wash your hair the next. Or wash your hair 2 days later. My hairstylist says, Amy, don't wash your hair more than once a week. And okay, use dry shampoo if you're not already, right? There's a million things that we can do to break these tasks up so that A, we can do them, and B, as we start to gain confidence and as our bodies start to accommodate to the loads that we're putting on them, we can string those things together without taking a break in the middle. Crazy as that. That's movement. If you're not doing it already, that's movement. If you're already able to do those things, well, then we need to do something harder. What's the next thing on the list to get your life back? How are we going to do that? We got to do that because we need our lives back. This is dumb. We're done letting pain run our lives. All right? We're going to get outside. We're going to get our feet into the ground. We're going to get the sun on our face. We're going to get the wind chill of a lifetime. I think it's supposed to go down into the single digits in normal this week. But we're gonna walk to the mailbox, which is not that far away. Or if we can't walk to the mailbox, we're gonna stand outside. We're gonna stand outside for a minute or two, and we're gonna remember that the outside world exists. I always say during the warmer months, if we have to crawl to get outside, do so. There is plenty of evidence that being in nature is actually really, really important to the nervous system. So if you can drive to a lake, a stream, a forest preserve, a mountain, whatever's near you, okay? Drive to a park, sit and watch the kids. Don't be creepy and get arrested. But if you can't get out of your car because it's too hard, then just sit in your car and roll the window down. But get to places that are beautiful. They don't have to be very far away. Okay? Will you do that for me? Okay, we talked about boom bust. We need to talk about rest, but I think we're going to have to talk about that tomorrow. And then the last thing that I'm going to suggest as a to-do is we're going to stop waiting for the pain to be gone to start living. We're not going to do that anymore. Okay? That is the largest part of the problem, is we have put everything on hold until this pain goes away. And that is where Moving Beyond Pain comes in, the 6-month program that is opening right now. All of these things that we talked about today that are very, very real how-tos to stopping your pain often need some help. You need some help and support, and that is why I developed this program. I have been running it since 2001, and I have seen people go from being in bed to working full-time jobs. I have seen people go from being afraid to leave their apartment to running half marathons. I have seen people, get back on horses that they thought they would never ride again. People accomplish amazing things in this program because they are ready to get their life back. They are ready to put in the work, and they get unparalleled support from me and their classmates. And it is amazing to watch. In the last class, I had a participant in particular that had been told, all of the things that we talked about, that, she wouldn't, her spine was awful and she'd been in multiple car accidents and, she was just going to be in pain forever. And her takeaway at the end of the program was, I just needed to be back in control. I felt like all of my control had been taken away. And Amy, through this program, you gave me control back. And I'm shopping with my daughter. I'm enjoying getaways with my husband again. Like, she went from not living and being afraid to living her best life and no longer being afraid of the pain. And one of my favorite stories that she told me recently is she was out with her daughter Christmas shopping, and her daughter said, "Mom, do you need to stop?" And pain was so far from her mind that she was caught off guard by the question, and she was like, "Why would I need to stop?" And her daughter was like, "Well, your pain." And she said, "Honey, I'm not in pain." And like, it blew her away because she was able to say for one of the first times ever, like, "I know we've been doing this for hours, but I'm not in pain." Her whole life changed. I'm the guide, you guys do the work. But it is a place where people grow and get their lives back. And I am amazed year after year, class after class, with the results that people that take this course have. So you're going to ask, is this course for me? Well, maybe. Are you motivated? Like, are you ready to take information I give and ways that would do it, like ways that you could do it, and run with it? Are you ready to investigate outside of the medical world? Because if you are, then this is a really good match for you. Now, that said, one of the other participants in the most recent class had knee surgery, and we needed to keep revisiting some things with her medical professionals. And that was really important. So I'm not saying we won't touch on medical professionals at all, because sometimes I do send folks back and say, please ask for this test. Please ask them to check for this, right? Things that haven't been thought of yet or haven't been checked for yet. And that's also a really important part of working with me, okay? So I have had people with neuropathic pain, nociceptive pain, and neuroplastic conditions have all been part of this program. They have all increased the richness of their lives. Notice I said increase the richness of their lives. Not everybody gets out of pain. I wish I could tell you that they did, but the reality is we don't know why one person gets out of pain and the other one doesn't. But I can tell you that the pain doesn't hold them back like it did at one point. Okay? So I know Rebecca still struggles with pain, but it doesn't limit her like it used to, and she's not afraid of it anymore, so it doesn't steal all of these things from her. Rebecca, feel free to say if I'm crazy or not, but I don't think I am because we've talked about that. So, what are you going to get? Well, you're going to get a pre-taped lesson every week. You're going to get a homework assignment every week that if you turn it in by the time that it's supposed to be turned in on, I will comment and reflect back to you. Then you're going to get a live usually hour and 15-minute Zoom session. We are planning right now on meeting Thursdays at 6 p.m., subject to change depending on the rest of the people that sign up for the class. I only have 8 spots left, so 2 of the 10 are already filled. So it is important to me that if you are thinking about doing this, that you let me know right away, because there are only 8 spots left. We're going to dig into your story. You're going to get journaling assignments every week. And again, as long as you turn them in by the time that they are due, I will comment back. Your classmates are going to comment. You're going to become very, very close with your classmates. You're going to have the support of other people that have gone through the class. Okay? So you're going to get support from me. Like, this isn't like, will you only talk to me when you need it? You send me messages, you send me PMs, we're gonna talk, right? This is not, you're not left on your own to do this. This is a group effort. It's a group effort, and it's gonna change your life if you choose to do it. So there is an early bird signing bonus. And if you sign up by Friday, you're going to get 4 one-on-one 45-minute sessions with me over the course of the 6 weeks. So, yeah, you're gonna get that, and that will help because you'll basically, so there's one-on-one during the program. So if you sign up before Friday, you're going to get 5, which basically means once a month we're going to meet and make sure that you're on track, and you're going to get 45 minutes of my undevoted attention just to you and your situation. You're going to get lifetime access to my course, Pain Flares, so that you can design your own. And you're going to get a copy of my book, Stories of Hope, which I don't have within reach, but you're going to get a copy of Stories of Hope in case you run out of hope and you need 11 other people to tell you why you should hope. Yep. So signing up early, again, does not take you out of the running for the scholarship. Yeah, it'll just be applied to your cost. Now, everybody always wants to know, Amy, how much is this going to lay me out? It's $4,000. $500 a month for 8 months. That's longer than the course. I understand that. I will remind you that Mayo Clinic does a 3-week course for $40,000, and you get less in that course than you get in mine. So you are getting everything that you need to get better in this 6-month course, with problem solving, support, one-on-one time, everything you need. And I don't know how to explain this other than I don't give up on you. A couple times there have been people that had crazy things happen and their lives kind of blew up in the middle of the class, and so we just paused it and I said, let's come back when life isn't as crazy. You're not going to waste this money. The reason that you are spending this money is so that you don't have to spend money into the future, right? I told you day one that I spent somewhere in the neighborhood of $250,000 on medical services for my pain. If I had been able to pay $4,000 to somebody and like not need as much medical intervention for the rest of my life, I would have done it. But I don't know if anybody's checked the economy lately. It's kind of crazy. It's bad. It's bad out there. And the last thing I want is for somebody to go into bankruptcy or medical debt because they're trying to get help, or not get it because they say that they just can't afford it. So here's the deal. If you're listening to me and you're like, I need what Moving Beyond Pain is going to give me, we're going to go through your story. We're going to go through the science. We're going to go through a flare plan. We're going to go through how we start to move again. We're going to go through how we deal with the mental trauma and crisis and the things that we think. And we're going to go through how we reconnect back into our world over that 6 months. Those are the things that we're going to cover. If you're listening to me and you're like, that's exactly what I need somebody to walk me through this crap. And you're like, but there's just no way. What you're going to do is you're going to send me an email at restoringvenus@gmail.com, or you're going to send me a message through Facebook and you're going to say, Amy, I want to do this and I can't afford it. What are we going to do? And I am going to say, let's get on the phone and talk, because it's easier to talk to you than it is to write back and forth. So I'm not a hard sell. I'm not. I want what's best for you. And I recognize that it's insane out there and stuff and things. So if you're like, yeah, this is great, I can't afford it, there's absolutely no way I can afford it, but I need it, then you're gonna message me. You're gonna message me and we're gonna talk about it, and I'm not gonna hard sell, and we're gonna see what we can do, because I do all kinds of plans with people and do all kinds of things to make sure that people are going to be okay. All right? I mean that. And you can believe me or not, but there you go. And I'm going to read what Rebecca said. She says, well, first, she is a little crazy. It's true. Crazy genius in her program helped me get my life back. I was nearly bedbound. I was skeptical, and I thought I had too many ailments, and imaging proved this woman would not be able to help me. And I was wrong. And her life is amazing. And she also wanted to add that she does work with me. She attends most of the Moving Beyond Pain sessions, but she's back in school getting her master's degree, so she may not be able to join us this round. But she does it completely for free because she wants to help people like you, and she is so grateful that the program gave her life back. And she says, do talk to me, because you really, really should. If you really should. If you have any interest in this program at all, you should talk to me, because I wouldn't offer it if it wasn't going to help. I really wouldn't. And I will say that, like, when I add up all the hours that I put in, I promise you guys really aren't paying me a whole lot. Like, it sounds really expensive, and it is expensive, let's be real. But, like, I'm making like $1 an hour. So if you feel like I'm charging too much, I promise you I'm not. Yeah. Questions? Yes. Yes. So Rebecca has been through the program. You can talk to her. There have been other people that have gone through the program that are willing to talk to you if you are interested and want some unbiased, well, okay, reality is they're probably biased because they're living good lives now, but you know what I mean. Okay, so that's the program. The link is, Rebecca, can you copy the link from the description for the sales page, like, so that they can see in detail what's included in the course? Because there's a workbook that's over 300 pages long. There's sheets to help you stay accountable. There's all kinds of things that come with this course to make sure that you reach the goal that you want, because it's your goal. It's not my goal. My job is to help you reach your goal and learn how to use these tools for a lifetime so that you are not dependent on other things. So that you have the freedom and the knowledge to control your nervous system, to control your levels of pain, to decide when you're going to see a doctor and when you're not going to, and how to do that, and all of the things. So I believe that this is a 6-month solve it all kind of situation. And my promise to everyone that signs up is I will not leave you until we have gotten you where you want to go. So we get to the end of the 6-month program, right? You haven't made the progress that you want, and you've been working the program. Guess what? you get coaching for free until we get you there. It's a guarantee. It's a guarantee that I don't leave you just because the 6 month is over if we haven't gotten progress. You're not going to get that from a PT or a surgeon or a pain management doc. You're just not going to. But you are going to get it from me. So if you want the biggest no risk program that you've ever signed up for, this is it. I mean, Rebecca's got me for life at this point. I mean, I can't function without her anymore. So, she gets to ask me questions for life. So if you want unprecedented support, if you want more like this, and you want to be able to interact live, like where we get to see each other, the meetings are all on Zoom, and we've got a private Facebook group, and we have all the things that you will need to get your life back. So, Moving Beyond Pain is now open. If you sign up by Friday,